In the next 24 hours, crypto markets might see a massive $5 billion liquidity injection. Will this trigger an alt season that we've all been waiting for? Plus, big news comes out of the Bitcoin conference, where Eric Trump spoke yesterday. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you know we drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, Altcoin Buzz IO, and as always, it's not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. Alright, good morning guys. So we are sitting pretty much at the same spot we were yesterday, but this is after having dumped and then pumped back to basically the same spot we're at right now, which is just at just under $109,000. You can see here, we did sell off a little bit yesterday, not as much as I thought, but then we continued to pump. And this is for a couple of reasons. So my initial thoughts as to why we might dump and sell off, and maybe why we still can, and come down here towards the low to mid 100,000s, is because one, the Bitcoin conference was going on, and usually at these conferences, it's pretty much a sell the news event. And every time a conference goes on involving crypto usually tends to sell off. At the same time, we also have these lower highs being formed on Bitcoin, so it didn't look as good from a technical point of view. And on the weekly chart, we've had 7 straight weeks of up candles, so it seemed like we needed some sort of pullback. So there's a couple of reasons as to why I think it could and still might go down. But the reason it pumped back up yesterday was partly in due to this, where the U.S. federal court blocks President Trump's Liberation Day tariffs from taking effect. So we're starting to get these headlines that I didn't even know was possible. You know, a court can now potentially block these tariffs from even happening. So the whole reason for the sell-off from the $100,000 was the tariffs. And now we're pumping again because potentially the tariffs are being blocked. But I don't think it's over yet, because I think at some point Trump will then also come back and fight this. So overall, it's just a very confusing time and very choppy price action right now. But we also had Eric Trump speaking at the Bitcoin conference yesterday, and he said this.
All of us travel all over the world. Don and I travel hundreds of thousands of miles a year. I'm telling you right now, everybody in the world wants Bitcoin. I don't care where you are. I don't care if you're, royal families. I don't care if you're the biggest, financial institutions. Everybody wants Bitcoin. Everybody is buying Bitcoin. If you go back 12 months, there were probably less than 100 companies that were treasuring Bitcoin that really had any. And now every single day, it's another sovereign wealth fund. Look what GameStop just did. Look what Truth Social did. Every single day, people are allocating billions and billions of dollars to it. 0.1 Bitcoin is going to be worth an absolute fortune. And, look at the OTCs. The OTCs have the least amount of Bitcoin ever on their books, right? I mean, the arrow's going straight down as the price of Bitcoin is going straight up. I've got a dear friend. He spoke on the stage before, Simon from Metaplan, and I asked him, what's the hardest problem? And he goes, honestly, we're running out of Bitcoin. It's hard to find on the exchanges. I mean, guys, everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of it. Everybody wants it as a balance sheet item. Every family, and this isn't America. This is the entire Middle East. This is Africa. This is all of Asia. This is Fortune 500. I mean, this is the biggest private offices. Everybody wants it. No one wants to get rid of it, and it's incredibly powerful. And I think you're going to see the value skyrockets.
And then we have Lark Davis saying Metaplan is issuing bonds to raise $50 million to buy more Bitcoin. Retail is sleeping while corporations and institutions continue to stack up on Bitcoin. And then we have Axel Biplay sharing this, which is another potential reason why we could pump potentially in the next day or so. So on May 30th, it might be one of the most important days of this cycle. FTX is distributing over $5 billion in stablecoins to creditors this week. That's 2% of the total supply being dropped into the market in one shot. And the timing couldn't be better. ETH is pumping, Bitcoin is hovering near all-time highs, alts are getting traction, pro-crypto narratives are heating up in DC, and legislation is finally moving. When that $5 billion hits wallets, it's not sitting idle. These guys aren't just going to withdraw and leave. Most of them stayed in crypto despite the FTX blow-up, and now they're getting their bags back, and they're going to rotate that liquidity back into the market. In my opinion, this could be the catalyst that pushes Bitcoin to 120K and triggers the alt season setup that we've been waiting for. Eyes on May 30th, this feels like the start of the next leg. So there's a bit of contradicting info in this, because yes, $5 billion in stablecoins is getting released on May 30th, tomorrow. But at the same time, this is creditors who had over $50,000 in their account, and many of these people sold their claims years ago. So you could sell your claims for between 50 to 100% of the claim at some point to these big creditor corporations. And so I know a lot of people who actually sold this already. So the money is already spent. So essentially, people with over $50,000 in their account, potentially more sophisticated crypto players, could have sold their claims a while ago and have already bought Bitcoin and altcoins at the bottom. And so it just might be creditors who are getting a bunch of money back, which is what they were planning to do. So I'm a bit 50-50 on this as to whether it's going to actually pump the market, or if the people who have already sold would have already, sold, or people who think, the market is too crazy and they want to just, put it into cash right now because we are so high up already that how many gains could they potentially get on Bitcoin? So I'm a bit, lopsided on whether this is actually going to be very bullish for Bitcoin and altcoins, or if it's just going to be nothing and maybe it's a top signal because everyone thinks money is coming back, and so the price has been going up only for it to then sell off. So it's a bit it's a bit a confusing time right now. But I just figured I'd give you both sides of the coin for this. And then moving on, we have Charles Hoskinson discussing the growth of TVL of Bitcoin and XRP DeFi and RWAs on Cardano.
If you look at the competitive landscape, I say, okay, where is going to be the big growth in terms of TVL transaction volume and overall utilization of these networks? It's going to be Bitcoin DeFi and it's going to be real world assets. Those are the two things that are just going to be huge. So Bitcoin DeFi is 4 times larger at its peak than Solana and Ethereum combined, like the whole market caps combined, if you think about the ratios. So because of Taproot, it's starting to turn on, and you need companion compute layers like Stacks or Cardano or these things to be able to run all those transactions that are secured by Bitcoin. And what's nice is if you put them together in just the right way, we'll see a larger and larger amount of TVL coming from that side. Same for XRP to Cardano. We have a very strong relationship there, and I'd like to see XRP DeFi onto Cardano, because that's like over $140 billion of value, and they don't have smart contracts.
And then we have Coin Bureau saying XRP ETF is on the way. The SEC is reviewing WisdomTree's XRP Trust, a spot ETF for XRP exposure, without owning the token. As the first in the US, it could open the doors for many crypto ETFs. The SEC has 240 days to decide and is seeking input on investment risks. So XRP is more or less in the same zone. It's at the mid zone as yesterday. Nothing has really changed. I do think if Bitcoin continues to pump and wants to break above all-time highs, then this is a good level to reclaim at $2.60, a good entry point. Right now we're in the middle, but likewise, if Bitcoin does sell off, a good entry point is if we come down here, break through this $2 range, come back and reclaim it. This is another good entry around $2.03. Pretty much the same TA from yesterday. Not much has changed. We're pretty much just chopping around on all altcoins. Hacks like the Coinbase hack, where people's data and IDs are stolen, are so commonplace that we barely even notice anymore. But identity theft is still a big problem, not to mention that too many people are getting access to your sensitive data legally or illegally. But is there anything we can do about it? Humanity Protocol says yes, there is. With its Human IDs and biometrics backed by ZK Tech, you can prove who you are when you need to, without everyone being able to see who you are and where you are all the time. Humanity Protocol calls itself the Universal Trust Layer. The idea is you give your sensitive data to who needs it and only them. For example, a lawyer for a pending court case, or a surgeon for a pre-surgical consult. You can also use it to share your own credentials, like employment history or state of residence. And if you're like us here at Altcoin Buzz, then you've been wondering when something like this will become available. ZK, or Zero Knowledge Tech, is all over crypto. Layer 2s in particular use it to maintain some privacy while batching many transactions together to send to the Layer 1 for final settlement. So there's no reason why we can't use the same privacy tech to store people's records and only show certain pieces of data at certain times to certain people. Humanity brings decentralized ID front and center, and with over 8 million human IDs and a successful testnet going on right now with 140,000 daily transactions, it's clear this is a service that people want. A couple of the many cool use cases for Humanity's human IDs include age verification, credential verification for sensitive data like medical records to specialists, verifiable biometrics for public services, and even voting online, zero knowledge-based ticket verification for events, and to prevent fraud and scalping, and more. And phase 2 of the testnet is going on right now, so go to humanity.org and give it a try today. And then moving on, we have Avalanche saying $240 billion in real estate is coming on chain. Balcony Tech is working with Bergen County and multiple other New Jersey municipalities to digitize property records, and is powered by Avalanche. This is the largest blockchain deed initiative in US history. So that's massive for RWAs on Avalanche. We also have Avalanche saying Avalanche and the Filecoin Foundation have joined forces to supercharge Layer 1s with decentralized data storage. Think high-speed execution backed by secure, scalable, and tamper-proof storage. And Bitcoin Consensus has huge opportunity on AVAX. Avalanche is completely crushing in the crypto gaming industry. New partnership with FIFA. Off-the-grid AAA game being built on Avalanche. Top 9 chain by DeFi TVL. On-chain funds. And adoption for RWAs. So a lot of big things are being built on Avalanche right now. Avalanche more or less looks the same. You could pretty much have the same TA from about a week ago right now, where we're just going to wait for it to either come down to this level at $22.50 and has to hold at this level, not break through. And that's a good long, but likewise, for more probable, higher probability trade, you can wait for it to come back above about $27 and trade back up to $35 for the next trade, because that's probably a higher probability that it will play out, and Bitcoin will be pumping in correlation at that time. Right now, we've tapped this level at $22.50 multiple times, so it really has to hold, but it doesn't look too great right now on this daily candle with this wick. It looks like it wants to go down below. So what you might want to do is you might want to wait for it to come break down and whatever it wants to do, then come back and reclaim this level, and then you wait for the level reclaim to then enter a position on Avalanche. So overall, it's pretty neutral right now as to what it's doing. Not too bullish, not too bearish. Just right. And then we have Crypto Rover saying a Meta to launch stable coins on Ethereum this year, 3.5 billion users to be onboarded. Very bullish for ETH. So we've Meta launching its own stable coin. Everyone wants to launch a stable coin these days. And then we have Sasso saying a company called SharpLink Gaming has announced a $425 million strategic Ethereum reserve strategy. So SharpLink basically wants to be the MicroStrategy, but of Ethereum. We also have Ryan Sean Adams saying when MicroStrategy started buying Bitcoin, it was worth $200 to $300 billion. 5 years later, it's worth $2.2 trillion. When SBET, which is SharpLink, when SBET started buying ETH, it was worth $200 to $300 billion. And 5 years later, it'll be worth trillions. So Ethereum might be having its own MicroStrategy now. We also have Coinbuzz saying Ethereum whales are stacking hard. You know what to do next. So Ethereum whales are starting to stack hard, and Ethereum is actually looking pretty good. It's actually one of the stronger coins recently, which is typically pretty scary when Ethereum leads because it means the market was about to sell off. And so that's what I've been thinking recently. When Ethereum has been up 4% on the day and Bitcoin is neutral, usually that's kind of scary because it means that we're about to nuke. It is still a possibility. We're coming into resistance here on Ethereum. What I'd like to see is us come back down here to around 25, 26, and then blast through this level of resistance around 28, and then reclaim this level. Then I'll be a lot more bullish that this isn't just about to nuke because Ethereum is leading. But overall, we're pretty much into resistance right now for the third time here. If we come back down and then we want to blast through, then that'll be great. But overall, I want Ethereum to do well. It's just typically when it does lead the market, we tend to sell off, especially this cycle. Usually in past cycles, when Ethereum starts to pump, altcoins will then pump as well. But this cycle has been a pretty bad indicator so far. So we really want this to hold up and just come back down here to then blast through. We don't want this to be the top where it then comes back down here towards 23 and under here. So that's Ethereum right now. Not much to do right now. You pretty much want to see it consolidate back down here and then blast through again. You don't want to be taking any positions right into this level of resistance here around 27. So we're going to have to wait on Ethereum pretty much probably over the next couple of days or into the weekend. And then lastly today, we have EncalveX enables 24/7 trading of traditional assets like the SPY, the QQQ, which is the NASDAQ, and gold. So EncalveX has wasted little time in getting its first world assets out the door and on the blockchain, exactly a week after unveiling its official RWA roadmap. The decentralized perpetuals trading platform known for its strong securities features said on X that users can now trade tokenized versions of traditional assets like gold, which is PAXG, the S&P 500 for the SPY, and the NASDAQ 100, which is the QQQ, for the first time, in addition to hundreds of other digital assets. EncalveX is an institutional-grade trading platform designed for traders who want the highest security possible. Unlike other platforms which use open and public order books to execute trades, it employs an ironclad architecture where every transaction is cryptographically secured. Each trade is executed in a secure enclave, which helps to prevent any data leakage. The company unveiled its plans for RWAs at the Avalanche Summit London on May 20th, promising to add tokenized versions of stocks, shares, bonds, and commodities to its platform in the near future. So you can now start to trade stocks on chain, which is pretty amazing because it's kind of annoying to have a bunch of crypto and then also want to trade stocks if you want to trade the S&P, or if you want to trade the NASDAQ, which trades very well. It's kind of annoying to have to then go into a traditional platform as well if you have a bunch of money in crypto. So that is very cool, and I'll probably be looking into that as well to start trading as well. Because yesterday when that news came out of Trump's tariffs potentially being blocked, the S&P and the NASDAQ pumped like crazy on this news that potentially the tariff headlines could be over. But I think it's going to start to sell off as well. But that would have been a great place to start trading the NASDAQ as well yesterday. So overall, we're pretty much at the same spot we were yesterday. I think a dump is still possible. Although I will say it is starting to look decent here on Bitcoin right now. It's just very choppy and a lot of unknown factors going on right now. Trump could come out today and say that tariffs are fully on the table. He's going to sue. He's going to repeal. He's going to do whatever. And then tariffs are back on the table. So it's just constant news headlines, chopping this market up. So it's a very choppy period right now. So don't get chopped up trading this. Wait for some clear signals. If we break above 110 really on the daily, if we can sit and hold above here on the daily chart, then we'll be very bullish and we'll be going to the next level. But if we continue to wick up into this and sell off and close underneath here on the daily, it's not very bullish. And I think we're probably heading back down towards the low to mid 100K zone. So that's the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you tomorrow.